a mid-game transition where like even teams that have an early game lead like they did here, they have to hold it together to mid-game. Otherwise, it slips through their hands, and AP Bren will punish, and that's that's what they have to adjust from game two. And it's so tough, man, because again, it's like you don't have much time. You're now match point. Your tournament lives are on the line. Yeah. You know, how do you fix it that quick?
Can't even do like you can't even do something, pull off something uncontemporary at this point, right? Like, I mean, this is match point, match away. Like, you can't afford to make any mistakes. I think for the side of Homeboys here is, again, is pretty much like what we've seen in the group stage. This is pretty much evident in both their games up against AP Bren that ended in a 2-0. I'm not saying that this is going to end in a 2-0 too. We might actually see more possibilities here for the side of Homeboys. But what I'm saying is that it was the same. Like, they had the answers in the early game. Mid-game to late game, they kind of have to watch out for these plays that either, Flap, TZ, or Ogwen does. And I think in that particular game, it was Super Marco. And we cannot discredit, like, the rest of the teams here, the rest of the members of AP Bren that really enabled Super Marco to be able to pull off that type of play, like a double kill. And I think after that, like, Homeboys really had a hard time going up against AP Bren, or kind of bouncing off that situation where, Super Marco was just able to position himself well and able to kite everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the best gold laners you can think of, and that's something that always sticks out for them is it's their positioning, it's the way that they decide to, of course, like initiate on some of these fights. And then I feel like always a layer to that, always a part of that is, again, the roams. Like, it's not even just the roamers, but sometimes it's junglers, sometimes it's the XP laners. The way that they peel for their gold laners is very important. The way they help them disengage, right? Again, you're really trying to protect these damage dealers and everything else, and that's what AP Bren does very well. That's very apparent in all their games throughout, ever since the squad has been together. And I think that's what makes them such a threat, because Homeboys, like I'm saying, you have a lot of that aggression and that tempo setting potential. But with that, it's kind of like you're trying to hold on to that energy, and it's really easy for it to like slip through your hands if you're a little too reckless. And so that's the problem. And AP Bren just so good at punishing that. So while we wait for Game 2's draft, and I agree with you, Kim. Like, there is room here, obviously, for Homeboys to take it to Game 3. Like, there's a huge possibility that we could see a Game 3. Because this was a rather long game that was not in favor of AP Bren in the beginning. So Homeboys, and it almost makes me kind of wonder, like, I'm trying to think, is this the time for them to go with that? It's not weird, but like go with that lineup again, like not that specific lineup, or maybe they try to replicate it. I don't know. Like, there's other options you can throw there, but like, is that the time to do it? Where it's like, we want to put all this risk in the early game.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, like, they did pull off that Hellcurt pick for the last pick in the group stage, right? Like, a Hellcurt, I get why they actually picked that up. Like, you need someone to deal with the back line. I'm thinking something along the lines of, like, maybe an assassin, right? Like, they're going for the more contemporary draft right now in the current meta, which is, utility, tanky types of heroes. Maybe they can try to pull something off like that. Not, I wouldn't say like in the jungle role, but maybe in the roam role. Like, Sword could perhaps pick up something like that. But he's known for pickoffs, right? He's known for these setup plays. So I'm not so sure if they're gonna go that route here for the side of Homeboys here. Like, I'm thinking something along that lines. They need to take down the back line of AP Bren, which is very, very solid actually in game number 1.
And I'm just trying to think, like, really what route they could go, for the most part, because my whole premise before the first draft was really like outside of the box. And I think now that you're facing, like, if you're Homeboys and you're kind of facing this situation where it's like, all right, match point, what do we do? I think this is the time to go outside of the box, because you obviously have like the tools that you need when it comes to like the execution in the early game. And that's what I always think about, those lineups that are outside of the box. And that's why I said yesterday when it popped up, I was like, this is actually genius for what they want to do, because it's a different kind of lineup that you don't see all the time, right? And if there's other iterations of that, then great. Like, bring that to the table in this game where you're now facing your match point of your tournament life, it might be the time to do it because, like I said, you got to throw AP Bren off balance because really, sometimes if you can get a lineup for you that is very early to mid game dependent on ending, like let's get this game over with before they start countering us with items, right? With defenses.
Yeah.
That might be the best case scenario. We want to end this game before that 13-minute mark even, and try to do that. And I think for Homeboys, like that might be what they have to do. And this is, again, coming from a region that is known for these weird, unorthodox, niche picks, cheese picks, whatever you want to call it, man. And that's where I think they need to fall into place here while we wait for Game 2's draft.
Yeah, just when you think that it's only RQ that's able to pull that off, right? Like picking up a Layla, if I'm not mistaken, in their last game, and it came off as a surprise for a lot of us. Like I actually thought that it was a redraft coming in from the side of RRQ. Apparently, it was locked in by them. So things like that, like it kind of throws you off, and at the same time, like what are they gonna do with that? How are they gonna play that? For the side of Homeboys, they've already shown signs of that actually in their previous matches, and honestly, I would love to see more of that from the side of Homeboys because they're known for picking that up. Not just Homeboys, like even just to name some of the other teams that are in the Asian region, you got Todak actually that's well known for doing that, and it actually worked for them. So match point, I think whatever the outcome, bringing something like that, maybe try to stop AP Brand from their tracks could actually be really good. And I mean, if you go with the contemporary lineup, it's kind of very much predictable right now. But if not, let's see what the Homeboys can do here for their final draft or their final.
That's what I'm saying.
Possibly their final match.
That's what I'm saying. Like you kind of got to be like, you can't be what people are expecting at this point. I mean, like in terms of the composition, and this is always the case, really. Like for playoffs, like once we get through group stages for any of these tournaments, it's really where you have to pull out all the stops, and sometimes it's like, you have a little more breathing room in some formats where it's like, all right, this might be a best of 5 or something like that. But with the best of 3 pressure and then immediately being at match point, you have to pull something through. And then even then, if you get to that game 3, Kim, like you have to do it again. You know what I mean? Like you have to pull that out again or something different, or maybe AP Bren is the one to do it. Maybe even in this game, AP Bren, despite being 1-0 currently, they do it. And that could possibly happen as well. So I think, there's a lot here for Homeboys to consider while they approach this game. And I think that's why, they needed this a little bit of time here to really decide, like, okay, what is our approach for this? Because what they did in the previous game, and talking back about the weakness points for AP Bren, like that jungle comparison or the jungle pacing that's set up there for Chibi in the early game was actually good, and I think that if they can replicate at least that and kind of stop Kyle Teasy a little bit, do that again, give Chibi that little bit of confidence or edge that he needs, is a good place to start, for Homeboys from there. So it looks like we are going to be getting into the draft here for game number 2. So Homeboys will be on that blue. They'll get that first pick priority. AP Bren now on the red. And we'll see how this bans go again. Because, again, the previous game, even ban-wise,
it was AP Bren.
It was a little different pattern, though, right? So Homeboys will take out that Novaria the first ban, though.
Novaria, I'm thinking something along the lines of AP Bren or either Homeboys taking away the R lot here, because knowing that AP Bren loves that very much, especially for Ogwen, who has picked it up the most number of times here in this tournament. Homeboys, I like the fact that they banned away the Novaria this time. Even though they can actually pick it up for themselves, they are on the blue side here. But then again, that's going to open up so many things here that they need to consider too, like CC heavy, chain CC. These are what the teams are actually going for in this current meta. So Homeboys taking away a lot of the heroes here from few, like Navaria. Then you got the Faramis here too being taken away. AP Bren. I'm looking at the joy band. It usually comes out from the red side here, knowing that Homeboys has that first pick.
If they don't take it out, if the joy is not banned out here, I actually think that it might be a good pickup for Homeboys. Take that joy that's been constantly banned out. I forgot how many times it is. I think it's like 40 times up to this point, but it is a very strong choice, but it's also kind of risky. Like there's some risk factor there, and I think that's, again, what Homeboys needs to do here. So we'll see. A couple more bans left. The Fairmist was taken out, Matilda's taken out. We'll see if they still want to opt for what we've seen for the most part, too. You know, the fact, too, that Nana is still left open. You can still work around that. There's the Fovea. So this is just like, it's like pure respect at this point from Homeboys, right? They don't want to deal with those kind of annoyances, those new nuances. I was like,
Nuances,
I was gonna say something else. Nuances that came from this lineup in the previous game from AP Bren. It was like range and then pressure combined, you know, because of Phoveus and Novaria. So with that, we'll see what this last band's gonna be. First phase from AP Bren, but if it's not Joy, like I would actually like to see Homeboys take the Joy.
Yeah, I feel like Homeboys kind of banning away that the Phoveus here is a respect ban coming through for Flap TZ, and at the same time it's kind of forcing AP Bren to ban away, you know, some of these other stellar picks, especially these glass cannon types of heroes that Chibi is also known for picking up. They ban away the Nolan, and you did mention that you want to see the Homeboys pick it up. They can actually pick it up here first, but for AP Bren they can actually answer it out by picking up say an Arlot. They love to pick up Arlot and a Ruby here. Wow, that's a lot to take in here for AP Bren. So Homeboys kind of has to decide right now. Do we go for Joy, or do we kind of take away Arlot or not? But, you know, since it has always been banned away, it's great early game, which Homeboys is known for. This could definitely create some pressure up against AP Bren.
This is the reason why I was saying this, as soon as we started to see the pattern of this first bans, the phase of bans, was because this is what I was saying. You know, if you want to pick up anything for Homeboys, it's to replicate what you did in the previous game. And you actually, like if you're Homeboys, you controlled that jungle side and everything early on. So Joy's able to do that here, possibly for this. But AP Bren picking up CC and Angela. Interesting pickups to go ahead and start up their first phase. Angela has been very, I would say it's not that it's like a very specific condition type hero right now, currently in the meta, but it fits in a lot of compositions. And the fact that you have CC here, who has been a monster so far throughout the games of the future, this is tough, right? They're going to have to be able to answer some of that sustainability, the shielding, of course, and everything else. Homeboys will pick up the Ruby for themselves alongside the Valentina. So they're like, you know what, we'll at least take the Valentina so that depending on whatever else AP Bren takes up, we have the opportunity to go ahead and take some of those ultimates,
Yeah, even down to the skin, right? I know the Valentina can do that. So if you don't have those skins, like, just pick up a Valentina and take care of everything.
Yeah, you get to enjoy
everything,
it, right?
Like, yep. Which kind of forces AP Bren into a situation that, okay, we can pick up all these good heroes in the jungle, Barretts even at this point, but they need to answer out to the early game hero, the Joy. They pick up something that they're known for too is, actually they could have gone with the Red Rin, but instead they went for the Baksha, counter out to the possible tanky setup here from the side of Homeboys. I'm thinking something along the lines of like a Minotaur here for Zorn. That's going to be a lot of problem here for the side of AP Bren, knowing that they have the Angela here that only can invest the Heart Guard onto one hero. So for AP Bren, it seems like they want to go for these head-to-head clashes with the Homeboys with this Angela pick. I don't really see this very often in the current meta, especially when you pick it up in the first phase.
The only thing that scares me here about AP Bren with this first like phase, actually specifically to the two heroes for Homeboys, is the fact that you have a Baksha and Angela. And the reason why I say that is because rotations are going to be very quick. Anytime there's a Baksha, goes around the map everywhere. You pair it up with the fact that you have like this global ult, the hard part to be able to just pop up as well. Like very quickly, in a snap of a finger, AP Bren can be where they want to be, you know, with like, with that kind of speed. And so I feel like in a way for Homeboys, it's like, how do we control that? How do we deal with that? And that's why I think, once again, the pacing that is going to be set in the beginning is crucial for them. And this time it's like, you got to be able to deal with that homeboy's speed, because if you're going to be putting the speed out there, like control it, right? Control it for the most part, because AP Brand will look for those moments where they try to punish you. Now, as we get through the second phase of these bans here, you can already see some of the gold lane focus, obviously coming out from Homeboys. They take out 1-1. We'll see if they still focus on another marksman option, because the carry was taken out by AP Bren, which I think is a great choice, because you don't want to be shredded through, especially if you're this box show, right? Especially if you're trying to build around these shields and this sustainability. So they also deal with another big true damage dealer in the department here. X-Borg is going to be taken out. They don't want to be slowed down either as well, and dealt with that kind of layering with the armor. So good, smart bans here from AP Bren. We'll see if Homeboy still focuses on that gold lane, one more option, because still for both, for both teams, like we don't exactly know what they want to throw there for now.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is this an Ogwen hero or is this a few hero? Because for Homeboys, they should actually limit out like Super Marco at this point, right? They're taking away like the gold lane here. Claude is still up. The Brody that actually did so well.
Yeah.
And I want to point out the Brody too, because that's one of the marksman heroes that can really protect itself, like in the lane. And just like I said that, there you have it, the Brody for AP Bren. Not only is a signature pick, but I think it can really go well up against heroes that can pressure you in the early game, like the Joy. So I like this coming out from AP Bren. No surprise there, but for Homeboys, they kind of have to answer it out with their last two picks, especially will they go for like team fight eccentric type of compositions, or will they go for a hero that can also pretty much rotate fast as AP Bren can here.
It's interesting too. They went with the Vexana, which is it's fine. Like it works, because Eternal Guard. I mean, that would add another layer of kind of annoyance for Homeboys to deal with. So they give it the Brody for now. They know that they kind of went through some of these gold lane bans. We'll see what the matchup's going to be. Like, is it going to be the Claude, like just that gets picked up by Homeboys? Do they want to go that? Give it to Nets? Let them try to push? No, they don't. They pick up the Clint and the Tigreal.
And the Tig.
Interesting. So they go with this, and wow, a Hilda.
Oh, wow.
That's scary. That is scary, because that's the pressure. That's the counter pressure I was talking about in the jungle that is going to happen. So this will make that Joy not so enjoyable, right? Like, no pun intended, because Hilda's going to be everywhere in your jungle, trying to slow you down, trying to keep you at bay. But with this, I don't know, Kim. Like, I actually really like Homeboy's draft here. I'm just trying to picture it, like, and. Anytime a Tigreal pops up, like, let's be honest, if you've been watching Games of the Future, everybody's going to think of that one play from Tigreal that was a 5-man setup, KDA machine, and he did it. So, like, the pressure's there. It's like, can you do something? It doesn't have to be 5-man. It can be a great three-man setup, But as long as you can pull it off the Tigreal, you can make that work. We'll see if they can. We're hearing the sounds of the Land of Dawn here. Again, it's a match point here between AP Bren and Homeboys. AP Bren getting that game number 1. We'll see if Homeboys draft here can pull them through to a game 3 ahead of us. But already, wow, Nets getting poked down quite a bit here.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of the first few times that we're going to be seeing a lot of these new picks coming through here. Super Marco also pretty low here, but this is what we expected in the jungle, right? Like a lot of pressure from Ogwen, a lot of pressure too from Sword. But at this point, right, he has to keep the Nets in check here. He really needs that assistance in the gold lane, especially if you're going up against a Brody. But the AP Bren here, they find Chibi, who's taking a lot of the damage here. Wow! And that's going to be First Blood being pulled in here by AP Bren.
Remember when I was saying, she's great, but it's a risk as well. Even if she's banned constantly, like, you still have to be able to have a relatively safe start to get where you need to be. And then, your damage is going to show up. But look at Ogwen. He's going to be doing exactly what you expect a Hilda to do, and that's live in the enemy jungle, right? As much as possible, gain that distraction, and just be there. Yeah, you can always regen in the bushes as well. and that's what he's going to be going for. They'll fight out for that crab, and with that, so again, the first blood being drawn over here by AP Bren, and the fact that it went in the hands of Kyle Teasy gives him that small, that minor edge, right, in terms of the jungle matchup. Because the great thing about it, Kyle Teasy can be like, you know what, Ogwin, go do your thing. Go invade the jungle, make Chibi's life hell for now, and I will roll around, literally. I'll get these objectives, I'll farm up, and I have a heart guard available from you. So that's what's happening here.
Oh, man. That's not going to be easy. And, I actually thought that Olga's going to have like a sprint there just to get out of the situation. But you know what? While all of that is happening, right? Like Chibi just turned level 4 while Kyle Teasy has been taking away all the resources here on the side of Homeboys. And Owen hasn't even left the jungle camps here on the side of Homeboys. I think this is going to keep up even until the end of the game. Just not letting this joy of Chibi farm anything at this point.
Yeah. So much support has to come from Homeboys here for Chibi. Yeah. And that's the downside of picking a Joy that is kind of reliant right now. And that's what you see AP Brand doing. So if they can pressure,
Yeah. Hard guard onto Flap Teasy. He's going to be safe for now. He's got the shields too. It's going to be a magic damage. Angela coming through. Ogun right now forced to use the flicker out to safety. And still no pickoffs here for the side of Homeboys. But you see the swing of resources from the side of Homeboys. They immediately all went to respond. Actually, all of them, I think. Not Chibi is going to have a hard time here. Like, everybody has to kind of answer out to Owen here at this point. Has just been camping out in the bushes, going for the pokes, and all the ultimates are going to be invested into him. He's going to be taking a lot of the damage, and that's going to be the first kill picked off here from the side of Homeboys. Electrifying beats as well, but they're not going to get more here.
That was a great call from Homeboys, especially from Zorn, knowing that, hey, Ogwin already used his flicker earlier, right? Like, if we can catch him, especially having the ultimate available and everything else, like, the implosion is going to keep him there, and then you push him back and work around it. So now, but still, Kyle Teasy, he's going to go for the pressure.
Oh, man. The Sword have the ultimate here. Kyle Teasy's going to be soaking up the damage. But you know what? This is why AP Brain's so confident. You got the hard guard. You can just create chaos here in the jungle. Pandemonium in the jungle. You got the hard guard available. Ogun's going to be able to escape that one. And AP Brain still exerting so much pressure, making sure that Chibi does not get anything at this point. Like, even to the point, like, it's not just Ogun, it's even Kyle Teasy going all the way in, knowing that the hard guard is going to be available for them to be protected.
We'll see. Hard guard is secured here for Udil, but I'm not sure if they actually want to go for this.
Wow.
Oh, Zorn.
Yeah, he's taking a lot of the damage from Flap Teasy. They got the hard guard for themselves, too. But look at this.
Oh, Chibi got it.
Going to take in that turtle. Steal from their side, and it's going to go to the side of Homeboys this time. Nice bounce back, though, here for the side of Homeboys. They definitely need it because AP Bren has been such a menace here in the jungle. Chibi hasn't been able to farm well. I mean, you can't farm well. Look at how Owen has been trying to make sure that Chibi doesn't get anything at this point. And so far, 5 minutes in, it's still AP Bren leading this time. Quite a different take this time. It's usually Homeboys actually taking the lead.
Yeah, this is big, though. The 5-minute mark now. Big item pickups. Necklace of Durant secured. There's an implosion again.
Onto
Owen's
Owen.
Okay, so as I was saying, big item pickups here for Homeboys. Necklace of Durant's Blade as well. Kyle Teasy. Okay, he's still going to put pressure here. Super Marco there now to help him out.
Yeah, he's also going to be poking in the side of Homeboys here. We haven't seen so much of the gold lane matchup just yet. We've seen Nets actually being safe and sound. All of the action is actually in the jungle side here of Homeboys. 16K for the side of AP Bren. I'm looking at Kyle Teasy here and Chibi. So far, he has caught up to Kyle Teasy. Even Owen's taking a lot of, or actually is dishing out a lot of damage here up against the Homeboys.
Yeah, that's tough. Again, okay, that's not going to connect either from Sapat. So there's so much back and forth here going, but the biggest thing is AP Bren still playing around on the macro level, guarding themselves still to lead, and they want this turret, but Kyle Teasy.
Owen flickering out too. Yeah.
Okay, so every time you think they're going to break out, this lineup that AP Bren has is very good at getting these resources out from Homeboys and kind of just playing around that, right? Like they're tanky enough, they're able to have enough mobility to get out of here. That's one great thing about Hilda. But Homeboys, uh-oh.
Yeah. Slap TZ again, though. He does have the heart guard here, going to be able to sustain him. Oh, there's the flicker in from Udil, but it's not able to get anything. Flap TZ still survives there.
What?
With 1 HP of health. And the turn's going to be taken in here by AP Bren. Wow.
I'm surprised he even survived that. So it looks like they're going to go rotate down bottom to put the pressure now on Homeboys.
Yeah, wow. Zorn going to be the focus here on the side of AP Bren. They got a heart guard here to save him in time too. But Kyle TZ and the rest of the gang, they know what to do. They want to get in this tower, and you see how they're cutting the minions here over to the side so that Super Marco can actually push. Zorn is really low, and Owen gonna go all the way in and take him down, and that's gonna be one less problem for the side of AP Bren.
Oh my goodness, it's not gonna end here.
Yep, that's gonna take it. Just gonna get chunked down here by Kyle TZ. He's only gonna be chunking him down real low, forcing him to back away. And wow, just like that, 7 minutes in, we're actually heading into the first Lord of the game.
Yeah, this is very different from the previous game, Kim. I mean, there's so much action between every single lane at this point, plus the jungle. So a minute before that Lord comes up, and this is always, like I said, this is the time AP Bren might look for some play, and it looks like they're getting in position for that.
Kyle TZ too. Again, they're not gonna let Chibi take anything right now. Even the jungle are not safe from the side of AP Bren, and I think for the side of AP Bren, they know exactly what to do, right? Like, just take away the jungle camps of the Joy. And if you've seen, like, Chibi hasn't been able to, you know, pop off like every Joy has, right? And even at this point, he can go, Baptiste can go head-to-head with him. Actually, making him pop that electrifying beats very early on as AP Bren. They're getting in the map control, too, while everybody is busy trying to either take down Owen or take down even Kyle TZ. And just like that, Super Marco.
It's on point every single time.
Just like that.
Before the 9-minute mark, before the Lord spawns, they get a kill. And just like I said from the previous game, that's what happens. They spawn it out. Now the question is, do they actually just commit to this Lord? And does Homeboys actually want to commit to actually keeping the fight here for it? It looks like being down Zorn, I mean, he did just come up, but it's going to be too late by the time he even gets there. So they just give this up. And that's what I always say is about the timings of AP Bren is like clockwork. They go for it if they can, and now they have this play.
Gwen again distracting everybody. They're not going to go for more here, but Conceal has been popped here by Homeboys. I'm looking at AP Bren this time. They are very early, actually, as compared to what we usually known them to do, right? Like, they popped out pretty early, and just like that, even Owen there can't be taken down. And to think that they don't really... They're building this Angela to be a magic damage Angela. Kyle TZ going to be checking up the damage to facades. Has been casted here. Flap TZ as well, zoning everyone all the way back to the turret here. They still have to address that Lord that's marching in on the top side here. Homeboys just have a lot to deal with here right now. Not just Owen, right? They got the Lord. They have to defend their towers here. 10 minutes in, what do they need to do? Like, Zorn has been using all of his implosions onto 1 hero, which is actually either Owen or Kyle TZ at this point.
Might take one of those miracle plays, miracle implosions, if Zorn can pull it off. He does have the flicker available, so they're going to deal with the Lord right now on the top side. Net's there alongside Sapat. We'll see if they can deal with it just fine. AP Bren, though, they're going to be knocking on the base. That's what they're going to do with these turrets as they make their way down the mid lane as well. They might just be happy getting the tier 1s and tier 2s cleared out, right? They cleared it out. They're happy with that. They've garnered themselves quite a lead, though, here. That's one of the big things because they got the 6 turrets. They now have about 8,000 gold on top of Homeboys. Homeboys, despite them actually having some decent setup potential and whatnot, they have no space to work with. Look at Ogun.
Yeah, Ogun just goes... At this point, like, even Few, though, knows that he has to invest the hard guard here. In the Clash's sword. Yep, he's gonna tug Galtizi all the way in, gets the implosion onto him. Hard guard gonna be used onto him. Zorn really low, and Super Marco picks up the kill. 7 kills for AP Brand. They just know how to dance around here with homeboys, knowing that Soar's gonna eventually invest in that implosion, right? At this point, like, I only noticed it's Flapteasy that has the Purify, so the rest of AP Brand has those flickers, so they're not even worried about Soren at this point, right? Not unless, you can catch like 5 members here of AP Brand, but at this point, they're just a force to be reckoned with. There's just so much tankiness in the front line, plus Super Marco kind of shredding everyone apart at this point. I'm not so sure what he has right now. We'll be seeing the items later on, but AP Bren, very great start up to mid-game. So
Yeah.
let's see if this might kind of be like a homeboys, flipping in that switch in the late game. Let's see if they can actually do the same thing as AP Brent here at this point.
Well, as we take a look at the items right now, I mean, Zorn already used the flicker. He did not land the implosion. That's not, the way he saw it in his head did not happen. So at this point, he's got to somehow make it happen, right? Because even if he's able to pull it off, let's say he does catch a couple with it, whether it's the flicker or not, I mean, you still have to hope that you have enough damage to pull through, and Nets he might need a little bit more time. But right now, that's another Lord in the hands of AP Brent. There's the Malefic Roar for Nets. So it could line up properly if Zorn is able to get it off. And Sepot as well, he could be the one setting things up. So it's two for homeboys to find the set they're looking for. And the hard part about that, again, is getting through the sustainability that AP Brent has, right? The shields, the regen, and everything else. Yes, they have some anti-heal items. I think they do have that necklace of Durance. They got it early on, but it's still tough to deal with this lineup right now from AP Bren. And with the Lord going on the top side, Chibi looks to be next target here.
Yeah, Owen is just not letting up here up against Chibi. And even Caltesi at this point going to respond to that Tortoise Poisson that's been casted. He's going to be poked down real low, but the real problem here is going to be the Lord here, the enhanced Lord for the side of AP Bren, marching in the side here of homeboys. They have to defend up against this one.
Yeah, so they lose that turret on the top side. Lord's going to be worked on, though. Look at the back, though. Udil takes quite a bit of damage just from Flapteasy alone. So right now they hold it together, but AP Bren might want more here. Working on the buffs. Ogwin waiting patiently. Right now, the homeboy is doing a pretty good job at defending. How long can they continue this on? AP Brand might just get that one turret, though, on the top side.
Oh, there's a lot to take in here for homeboys, right? Like, they need someone to burst down this tanky front line of AP Brand, form of Udil, form of Nets, but they're actually not able to position well, right? Because they got Owen here. They got Kyle Teasy. Then they got that hard guard to kind of make everyone back away from all these clashes that homeboys kind of wants to do. They have all of the tools that they need. They got 2 setup plays here in the form of Zorn and Sepat, but we haven't seen anything just yet, right? And so far, AP Bren has taken in 7 towers already right now. 10K lead for the side of AP Bren.
Yeah, tough to anytime this is the situation, Burger Kim, you have to consider what do the teams do? Your back is completely against the wall. Yes, you've got some items. Nets, like I said, he's got the 3 items that he needs for the most part to deal enough damage, but if he gets caught out for some reason or another, it's going to be difficult to actually find those kills they're looking for, right? So when you're this far behind, 10,000 gold is usually that mark where it's yeah, this is tough. We have to just kind of sit in our base, hope for the best. Probably not a good idea to contest Lords unless for some reason we have a numbers advantage, right? And so they might just be at the whims of, all right, AP Brand, they're going to control this whole side of the map. They're going to get this next Lord from us. But if somehow we have a miracle defense, that gets us to that first step to turn things around, right? That's kind of where they are. And we'll see, again, if they actually decide to play around this. I don't think it's a good idea to contest the Lord, even though they're trying to push into this side of the jungle.
Yeah.
It's
way
quickly
too
taken
fast.
care of. Yeah, it's gone. Conceal play comes out, though.
Yeah, AP Bren, Owen, going to try to find someone. It's going to be Chibi this time. It's going to take a lot of the damage here, but, AP Bren going to be backing away. They have the Lord on their side. They don't really have anything to worry about. It's going to march down on the top side. Let's see how homeboys will defend this one. I'm looking at Soren at Sepat at this point. They're the ones who have the setup here, so we're going to have to wait for that miracle play coming out from both sides, but it's not going to be easy, right? The solid front line of AP Bren plus the Lord to boot here for their side.
This could be Homeboy's last defense here. They're going to have to keep it together. Heart guard already used.
Kaltizi going to go all the way in. There's going to be the Turtles Basan. Sword's going to try to find someone unable to take anything. Flap Teasy zoning nets all the way from the backside. And I think Homeboys, they're going to be able to defend this one successfully, actually. I kind of respect AP Bren at this point. They know that Homeboys has the tools to kind of have that miracle setup, but they're just going to take in what they can get. All the inhibitors are down here for the side of Homeboys.
So even given the fact that they're so far ahead economically here, AP Bren's still kind of being careful how they approach this. Sapat, though.
Yeah. Sapat, nice tug in there, but they're not going to go for more. But I think for the side of AP Bren, they might want to commit here. Kaltizi. Okay, they're just going to be taking in a lot of damage. A lot of the ultimates have been invested just to make sure everybody's alive. I mean, at this point, right, like once you get a takedown onto at least like one person on either sides, it could be like a game changer here. Like if Homeboys manages to take one down from the side of AP Bren, they can really set up the play here. But for the side of AP Bren, one down, no inhibitors left here for the side of Homeboys, it's going to be hard for them to defend.
Oh, Flap. Gonna get pulled.
Yep, Turtles Passants. Kaltizi going to be taking a lot of the damage. Look at Owen onto Zorn.
Oh, Zorn.
Popping in that immortality. Yeah, he might get taken down here. There's the hard part onto him. And there's Odile. Look at Flap Teasy just zoning everyone out. Nice tug in there. Nice. I'm offended by Sapat, but it's not going to be enough. Look at the mobility. Look at the tankiness here for the side of AP Bren. A lot of the immortalities are taken out. Homeboys doing their very best to defend here. They're getting choked down here by the side of Super Marco. It's only Udil left to defend here. Up against the side of AP Bren. They got minion waves crashing in too as Kaltizi going to be stomping in the tracks of Homeboys trying to go for a pick-off, but it's a wipeout. That's going to be it. AP Bren locking it in and showing Homeboys why they're the M5 World Champions.
AP Bren, another sweep here. Second match of the day. Will be sending Homeboys out of the tournament in honestly what looked like, I mean, for a moment there, Kim, like it seemed like AP Bren was just, I don't want to say they were like toying with Homeboys. They were massively ahead. I think they were respecting the damage that Homeboys had despite a massive deficit. Like they still respected the fact that they could get set up on, and you could start to see it, right? Like it did take a lot of work for them to win that last team fight even, and they had to kind of push and pull and get certain, you know, abilities and resources out from Homeboys to come through with those wins. And, you know, taking a look at the highlights here, you're going to see a lot of that push and pull between both the teams. But eventually, AP Bren, like this game was the macro decisions, right? The fact, too, that you have Ogwin really just spending a lot of that time, a lot of that pressure on the jungle side of Homeboys was tough to deal with for the most part. And Chibi, he started to do things that he had to do despite having a very rough early game. But it was like he had to require so much support from the team that it got very difficult for them to actually make plays anywhere across the map. Again, like they have 0 turrets. Like that's the thing, right? No matter how these team fights looked for the entirety of the game, they couldn't get a single turret down because of the macro level of AP Bren here. Now, if for some reason they were able to get this miracle playoff at this point in the game, 18 minutes in, they probably could have marched into at least the base turrets of AP Bren. Like there could have been a play for that, or swing back and get an objective, a Lord or something like that. But there was no opportunity for them to do that, right? So again, we take a look at here, AP Bren with the sweep, 2-0. Homeboys now out of contention, out of the tournament here. And, you know, this is first time seeing this. I'm kind of taken aback, right? Like, this is great. So we've got the stats there. But again, you know, it's just unfortunate for Homeboys. I think they should be really proud of what they've accomplished so far in this tournament, of course. Now for Super Marco,
back to back.
This is, but, you know, and the thing is like, again, with AP Brent, for the teams that will be facing off against them in the consecutive days here, they are going to have to go against RQ Hoshi, in the semifinals, and there's a lot that they can take from this. Like, there were moments where AP Brent, you should have been able to punish them in some of these instances, right? And there was, but they just once again performed very top tier here, and it was tough for Homeboys to catch a breath. When you don't have any turrets 18 minutes in, that's pretty dire, and it showed there in the game.
Yeah, Super Marco with a classic pick up. I think a lot of people have been also talking about like what the possibility of like that M5 skin, and it seems to be a lot of people are talking about this Brody that seemed to be the Brody that was a miracle actually for them even in M5, right? They've been picking this up, even prioritizing it still, which is look at the stats here, 2-0 on this. I think most of the time, like we've been looking at this this matchup, it was all in the jungle camps there of Homeboys. Like I do admire the fact that Homeboys was kind of actually able to answer out, kind of focusing their resources on trying to assist Chibi. But eventually, right, with that massive gold lead from the side of AP Brent, plus the map control that they had, there was just a lot that they had to deal with at that point for the side of Homeboys. A good job though. Like, it wasn't easy to go up against, of course, like the reigning M5 world champions, and to go head to head with them and even stretch it out to like 19 minutes mark is definitely a feat already for themselves.
Yeah. Again, for me personally, like I'm always hoping for those 3 games, when we get to the playoffs for Kim, because, like, even for Homeboys going against AP Brent, yes, it's obviously a kind of a scary matchup, I feel like, for Homeboys, but like I feel like they had what it took to get to a game 3 here based off what we saw from the previous days. But unfortunately, even from game 1, like I said, they controlled that early game really well against AP Brent. And then it's like AP Brent came out. That's how fast they adapt. They know that they lost control of that early game in game 1. So what do they do for game 2? They have the tools they need to deal with early game pressure because they're putting the early game pressure, right? That was the whole Hilda pick. Like, we'll be the ones pressuring in the jungle. And that's kind of what happened there. And they helped control that early phase of the game. And still, same thing. They looked for that play. They looked for that play before that first Lord, which then things kind of just continue to snowball from there. So, again, just a great performance here from AP Brent, looking clean as ever. Again, you guys can kind of contemplate and wonder what exactly is the weak point for AP Brent here. Like, where is that weak point? Because that's kind of what needs to happen for these other teams, that are waiting for them. And yeah, it's RQ Hoshi that's going to have to face off against them tomorrow, right? So I believe it is tomorrow where they'll have to kind of go and do that. But, of course, for Homeboys, they can still take a lot from this matchup. They had a great performance yesterday where they swept, but now today they have to taste defeat here against AP Brent, and it's, hey, yeah, like you mentioned, Burger Kim, I mean, they're the world champions, so hopefully they can take a lot from this and hold their heads high.
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about uncontemporary. I think that's also the first time we're seeing some new picks coming out from AP Brent. First time that Hilda was picked up here in this tournament. So they're saying that, yeah, we can do that too. We can do that too, Homeboys. But, ultimately, I think for the side of AP Brent, like 2-0 both times that they've gone up against Homeboys was just... Oh, man, I think they really came in prepared here for games of the future. And, no matter how many VODs have been released here, no matter how many games that they've already taken, it seems like they're still going strong here, even up until, after the M5 World Championships.
Yeah, and that's why I'm, as we look at a team like AP Brent, the amount of improvement they had from the whole last year even, I'm sure it's inspiring for a lot of the teams out there, that are even competing in this for games of the future. Like I said, though, there's a lot to be learned here for all the teams that all have to go home, but that's the competition, right? Eventually they'll have to go home.
It is.
Now, later, I believe later, there's still, of course, 2 more matches that'll be happening. This this was all for us, for me and you to cast. But I believe people are still definitely excited, of course, for the rest of the games today because we have
Oh, yeah.
later on Blacklist
Onyx,
International.
Blacklist,
And
yep.
Fireflux, yep, and then we have Onyx and RCC. So still a lot of action ahead of us, right? But I don't know what this is actually your last cast too for
Yeah.
Games of the Future, isn't it?
Yeah, our first cast together ever and our last cast for Games of the Future. So it's been a pleasure for me to be here on this. I actually wasn't expecting to be here on the casters desk. So, on behalf of everybody here in the production side, thank you so much for having me. It's been wow, I would say a comeback for me too here in MLBB. It's been a while, but it's so nice to see everybody. It's so nice to be, casting the game that I really love. So, thank you so much. And you guys will be seeing more action later on. Yeah, Nice who's just mentioned all the matches that you guys have to watch out for, which I think everybody's going to be pulling off an I wouldn't say all-nighter though, but, they've been going past midnight for the matches, I'd say. It's, what time is it here? 10. So it might go like a little bit past midnight here. So, but definitely all of the fans are happy to see there's going to be a lot more MLBB action here.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of the people that have been watching Games of the Future for the past few days and whatnot they've kind of changed their schedule, right? Like their sleep schedule and everything
Their body
else for
clock,
it.
yeah.
Their body clocks, and I know I definitely have, of course, I've taken naps in the afternoon, right? But yeah, of course, respect all the casters that did cast into the early hours of the morning. Shout out to Wolf, man. The guy's been working, and it's great to obviously cast with you too, Burger King, for the first time, and be a part of this. There is, I believe, aside from the 2 matches today, I think everything wraps up in about 2 days or so. 2 days left of competition,
2 days,
I think it is.
yeah.
So
it's gonna be March
yeah, 2
too.
days. Yeah, it's been super fast. So, again, on behalf of me and Burger Kim, guys, thank you so much for joining us for these first 2 matches of the day. There are still 2 matches later on. I believe we will be taking a break because everything is on a time slot, and there's a live audience out there, of course, and they have tickets and everything else. So make sure you go and grab your snacks and everything and get refreshed because we will be back after this break. We'll see you guys then.
of the future. Games of the future.